Hello class, this is Mr. Broussard and I'm sending you this video for the ninth week of our Composition 1 course for the fall of 2020. I hope you're all doing well, and I just want to let you know what it is that we're doing since we are about a week off from where we were supposed to be as far as our syllabus. But the good news is we're only a week off, and with some of the things that I planned for later in the semester will be caught up, no problem. The main thing, of course, that we need to make sure that you know is that this week is the week in which you need to get your 1,100-word compare contrast analysis essay done and due, and it is due. Let me confirm just to make sure I tell you the exact right date, because don't always. It is due October the 27th at 2:59 a.m. So again, don't lie to yourself saying that you have all day on the 27th to get this done. You do not. You actually only have until 2:59 that morning. So pretty much before you go to bed on Monday night on the 26th, make sure you get this essay completed and turned in to the proper Dropbox. I want to remind each and every one of you that while I can be a little lenient when it comes to the journals and how now they should all be in the Dropbox. Everything you have should be in the Dropbox. If an occasional glitch or something happens, I can take a journal through attachment, though I try not to make it a point of doing that because if it starts being a regular pattern, then I'm going to wonder whether or not you are really just trying to get around the plagiarism detection issues that could be possible with Turnitin. Basically, you're being shady. But when it comes to essays, no, it must be in the Dropbox. Every single formal essay you write must be through Turnitin, through the Dropbox, must be done properly in the way MLA 8th edition, all the things I've said before, and it must be done through the Dropbox to go through Turnitin, or else it will not be accepted and you are in a zero. So just a reminder of that. So make sure you get this done on Monday night, and just to remind you of what it is that you need to do. I have posted both movie versions of The Great Gatsby, but as I noted before in prior videos, for some reason it worked the first semester I did it online to where I bought the videos, posted to my Canvas page, and the students were able to watch it. Last semester they weren't able to, and I've already been told by some of y'all that basically it says that you are not allowed access to it, though you are allowed to rent it for like $4 or buy it for like 15, either or both movies. I don't want you to have to spend money because while it's only $4, it still might be $4 more bucks than you have, or quite frankly, $4 more bucks than you thought you were going to have to pay, considering what you do pay for this course. I will let you know that both the Gatsby movies, unfortunately, neither of them are on Hulu or Netflix. Both of them are accessible in both YouTube and on Amazon, but I went ahead and looked it up. If you have Amazon Prime, the 1974 version of the movie is free, so you can at least watch that one for free. The 2013 version is still, I think, $4 to rent, and I think $15 to buy. If you go through YouTube, both are accessible, but both have to be rented or bought. I think $4 for rental, $15 to purchase. You might be able to find a version that is the movie, but then has a gazillion commercials. If you can last through those, and then that's fine. Somebody did find a different movie version of The Great Gatsby. And if you want to use that one, that's fine. And the reason I say that is because if, let's say you have access to two different versions of the same movie that isn't The Great Gatsby, and you want to go ahead and do that and use those as your movies, that you individually analyze the individual points and then compare and contrast those points with and against each other, then you can go ahead and do that. So you can do it with a different version of Gatsby you found for free, or if you have a Netflix or a Hulu, that'll afford you the ability to watch either the same movie but done two different times, or the movies maybe was inspired by another movie or another play or whatever. I gave the example last week. There are play performances of Taming the Shrew. There's actually one that you can watch through Films on Demand if you have the passcode for that, or you can actually find it through YouTube at Play Performance Taming the Shrew. And then I actually do this in my World Lit class. They can do Taming of the Shrew, the play performance that I show them. And then I have the same issue with 10 Things I Hate About You, to where I bought the movie online. The first semester it worked, and since it hasn't, so then if they wanted to watch 10 Things I Hate About You, which is free if you have Disney Plus, and yes, will cost you if you do it through anything else, then they go ahead and do that, because Taming the Shrew was inspired inspired 10 Things I Hate About You, and then of course the play itself was the play after the Shakespeare's play from the past. Basically, if the thematic influences are the same, they can be exactly the same, or the thematic influence is the same. Either way is fine. It's totally cool to do. Now, I will say this: I haven't checked my email today, but none of you have emailed to ask if what you want to do does work. Well, you're taking a risk if you do that. Now, if it's the same exact movie, you're fine. But if you're taking a risk and thinking, hey, these are actually thematically similar, and then I find out they're not, it's going to severely hamper your grade. It's going to do bad. It's going to make your grade plummet. So if you want me to check, just to make sure that, hey, this is cool, you need to send me an email tomorrow, Friday morning, or Saturday day. And I need to be able to obviously look at that email during my office hours times, and then I'll be able to give you a response. After that, you're on your own, and if you happen to do it and it doesn't work out, then yeah, your grade will reflect it. So just make sure you choose wisely. The wisest thing to do would be to choose the same movie that was done twice. That would be the easiest thing to do. Though do make sure, because now you have it to where they're remakes, but they're not really remakes. There's they don't follow the actual what went on in the prior movie. They're just rehashing the old characters and whatnot. And instead of actually doing a pure remake, which in Great Gatsby it was a pure remake, there are some differences. There's certain things that are left out, certain things are added in, and those are things you can discuss in those two movies. Now they're doing movies to where it has nothing to do with the original except the characters themselves. And so you have to be extra careful about that as well. But yeah, go ahead and run that by me if you need to, or just do the two Gatsbys, or figure out a different way. But if it's the same movie, then yes. But if it's different movies, but they're inspired similarly, then run it by me just to make sure it's good, or do it on your own. But then you run the risk of, if you don't let me know, of it affecting your grade. So that is what you need to do. Let me look just to make sure there's something else that needs to be done within this class. I'm going to move the journal. For some reason, I have the journal due the same day. That shouldn't ever happen. Let's just say your essays due Monday night, and then the next journal, which will be on education, will be due Tuesday night. Let's just say Tuesday night of next week. Let me move that right now, in fact. And I've done it for one, and I will do it for the other as well. So the 1,100 word analysis, compare, contrast essay, either of the two Gatsby movies or of two same movies or similar movies, is due Monday night. Journal 8, which deals with the topic of education as your broad topic, that is due Tuesday night. So Monday night for the essay, Tuesday night for the journal. And I'll go ahead and change the second of the two classes as well. I don't like having a journal and an essay due at the same time, because what ends up happening is you'll do the essay and completely forget about the journal, and I don't want that to be an issue. So let me go ahead and move that now. Now it's done for both classes. So that is it as far as this class, as far as this week is concerned. Next week we will start the last of the rhetorical modes, the argumentative essay rhetorical mode, and start learning about research, sourcing, and citing in APA style. We'll then move to a different style, which you will go over yourself. And again, because of the way the schedule works, I had a week where basically you just had a general week to get your final exam in, which we'll discuss in November. Basically, it just falls upon itself. You have the extra week to get what you need done as far as read. So get it together, and we'll be able to get everything in and be done on time, which all worked out rather well. I hope you're all doing well. I did grade. Finally, unfortunately, with my illnesses, it's been difficult to get everything I needed done in all time. In fact, I think I got one of your classes done last week, and the other class I just got done yesterday. Kind of hit or miss, to be brutally honest. Some of you improved, and some of you regressed. And it was about even so. I would say actually the overall average is about the same, only some of you didn't do as hot, did much better, and some of you did pretty well before, kind of fell off. So maintain your consistency. If I can say one thing that I did see consistently throughout y'all, and that will help and save you, y'all are not editing and proofreading. Revision seems to be good because you're getting your content in order And in general, most cases, not all cases, but most cases, you're structured in order. But I'm seeing way too many issues that could be cleared up through editing and proofreading. The fatal errors. And remember, every time you have a fatal error, it knocks an entire 7 points off. Unless it's the fifth one, then it knocks only 4, because that's all the rubric will allow me. So anytime you have the word "you," and it's not, if that's in quote marks, it's supposed to be in quote marks, you're dropping 7 points every time that happens. Every time you have a comma splice, which is when you have a comma separating two independent clauses, when it should either be add the coordinating conjunction, making the second one dependent, having a semicolon there, which is what you should have when you're linking two independent clauses, or having an end punctuation there, capitalizing the first word of the second sentence and making them two complete different sentences. That's a good issue with comma splices and run-on sentences, which is the same thing, only you have nothing there instead of the aforementioned comma. How to repair that as well. Every time you have a comma splice or run-on sentence, that's -7, unless it's the fifth error, then I can only take 4. Sorry, fifth fatal error. And then not having complete sentences, though I don't have that one as much. Y'all at least seem to know what a complete sentence is, thank God. But I'm still having the other issues, and that just drains that rubric down to where it won't let me take any more points off. So please check for those, particular fails. The fails are taking a lot of you out. A lot of you, if you clean up the fatals, you don't really have as many of the normal errors, so you'd lose some points in that area, but not nearly the whole 32 points in that area. Though some of you are still having issues with your commas, in particular dealing with introductory words, phrases, and clauses, making sure your comma separates that from the independent clause that comes after it, separating your independent and dependent clauses with a comma, because that's what that's supposed to be. Here's something. If you are going into a quote with a launch statement, you have a comma after the launch statement before the quote. If your quote ends but doesn't end the sentence, the comma goes within the quote marks. And if the sentence does end in a period, the period goes within the quote marks. If it's a full quote, if it's only a partial, then those things do go after the quote marks. It's only in a partial way. Now, if it's a question or a exclamation, it goes after. It's kind of a weird little rule there. After the quote marks, simply because a lot of that depends on is what's within the quote the question, or is the entire sentence a question. If just the quote is a question, the question mark goes within the quote marks. If the entire sentence is the question, including the quote mark, then that goes after, believe it or not, the quote marks. Exclamation runs in the same role. If just what the person says is exclaimed, the interior, it goes within the quote marks. If the whole sentence is an exclamation, it goes afterwards. Though I have often said and will always say, be careful about overuse of the exclamation point. Not everything is that exciting. Some of you will have that random exclamation point, and so I read that sentence excitedly. And here's the rule for that. I think I've told it before, but I'll say it again. If you want to use an exclamation point, read or have somebody, a friend of yours or somebody near you, read that sentence very excitedly. If they sound stupid while they're saying it, don't use the exclamation point, use a period. Because not everything is that exciting. It's the I'm going to the mall. I'm going to the mall. Well, if you have exclamation point, you're going, I'm going to the mall. And not exciting that you're supposed to say that way. Is it really that exciting to go to the mall, especially nowadays? No. So be careful on that as well. Page headers, y'all need to have your page headers. And remember, your page headers in the upper right-hand corner, it needs to be your last name, a space, and the numeral of whatever page it is, and it needs to be on every single page. Whereas your regular header should only be on page 1, your title should only be on page 1. So watch out for that, because if you have your regular header or title on page 2, 3, or any subsequent pages, you're losing points every single time. You're losing a lot of points. I used to count that as individual mistakes and used to rack up some major point losses. Now I count it as structural deficiency. Basically saves you 3 points every time it happens by me doing that, because if you have the entire header and title on pages it's not supposed to be on, that's 5 mistakes, that's 7 points, whereas I count it as one massive structural mistake and only cost you 4 points. So I'm saving you points there. But be forewarned, it will cost you in the future as well. Other than that, I think everything else was pretty much in order. Although some of you are still putting quote marks around your title. Stop putting quote marks around your title. Stop bolding your titles. Your title should be as the same as anything else you write in your composition. And if you do something special to it, there better be a specific reason, and I better know that reason without you having to explain it. Otherwise, you're losing points. Also, stop with the blank space lines. Stop with the blank space lines. There should be no blank space lines whatsoever, any part of your composition, with the rare exception of when you do sourcing and citing, and we'll learn about that. But then even then, you're just going to have a whole block of nothing there because you're stopping where your composition is and then going to a, depending on what it is, if it's MLA, it's a works cited page, if it's APA, it's a reference page. You'll learn about reference page in this class. It's, that research essay will be in APA. So I just want to make sure that's everything because of the things I noticed. Again, it was basically the same average, but it was weird how certain people dropped a little, certain people raised a little, but it ended up averaging out in the end. So be consistent, be consistently good quality. If you're improving, keep improving. If you fell off, at least get back to where you were, because I'd like to see those averages jump up a little bit. Hope you're all doing well, and I will send another video next week.